Hello. Have you ever wondered why certain transactions are being included in past submission? So, what I'm referring to here is that when you have a purchase transaction definition that is posting to a user defined book as a commitment, and maybe that transaction, while it's taxable, is included in the bus submission, but that shouldn't be the case. It's all because only when the purchase invoice is processed and is posting to accounts payable, that should only be included in the bus submission. So the preference here is basically this one called Do Not Capture GST. So what happens is that if there's any tax implication on the transaction related to the transaction definition, then if this is checked, that will not be included in the bus submission. So if it's cleared, then it will be included there. So essentially, if you're making use of a commitment book for example, in this case, a purchase order, you would like to have this checked so it will not be included in the bus submission only when this is converted into a purchase invoice. And that's the only time that is actually being captured there. So this preference is called Do Not Capture GST. This is available in purchasing transaction definitions. And let's have a look as well on the order entry just to see if that is also available. Okay, so if it's posting to general ledger or general ledger basically, the do not capture option is also available in order entry. Okay, so let's proceed just to see whether what's the impact of having this disabled or enabled. All right, so at the moment it's actually not um, checked. So let me just create a commit purchase order. So this is posting to the GL via the user defined book. So let me just fill out the details in here. So, okay, let me just change this to um, February. Just backdate this a bit just to see basically what's the impact like. All right, so we're okay with this one. All right, so this is now being saved, and let's have a look at this one here. As I said, this is actually posting to commitment book called CMTJ, and as well you can see here, you have the tax implication there, right? Okay, so let's have a look at this. Let's observe the purchase order number, and when I do that, let me just let's create. So this one has been created while the preference is not um, enabled. So now let me just check this one here. Do not capture GST here and save. All right. Now let's see. Let me just create a new transaction. So I'll just post this for 29th as well. Same supplier there. And let me just fill out the details in here. So this one, okay, I just fill this out just in case. And I have a purchase price of $2,000. All right, so this one, I would be posting it after I've enabled that option, right, on the purchase transaction definition. So let's have a look. Let me just run the bus submission and see what will happen. Okay, so if I go to bus submission in here, under taxes, tax submissions, I have here for E400, February 2024. Okay, and I believe this is the ABN of that. So let me just click on prepare tax here and click on continue. All right, let's wait a bit just to see what will happen here. So I have this one here, E400 Feb 2024, and I can refresh my screen just to see what's going on here. Still not started. Okay, while waiting for that one, so let's just go back to the preference again on the purchasing transaction definition. So this one is a bit, tricky, and just ensure that it's actually enabled not to double up. Basically, the you don't want to be recognizing the GST even on the commitment purchase order, right? It's just on the purchase invoice, basically, that you would like it. So you have that option there, which is really good, meaning you don't have to have duplicate entries there in your bus submission, if that's the case, because missing this one here will just duplicate the impact. So you have bus submission for the commitment purchase order, but it also have the um, GST implication on purchase invoice. Let's go back to the tax submission and see where we are at. Okay, it says here completed successfully, which is great. So just click on view here and let's proceed with the create tax return. All right. Or before I do that as well, let me just open up in a separate tab and let me close that period. Okay. So I'll close for entity 400 to end of period. We're talking about February 2024 and close the period. Great. All right. Let's see if I carry on with this one, if some transactions would be captured. All right. So I'll just extract from February 1st until the 29th of February and create BAS. Then I should be led to a screen wherein, yes, this one here. I'll just click on later, ask me during my next activity statement for transactions prior to the BAS submission period. And I click on continue. All right. Now, okay. So nothing is coming up in here, which is which I would think is going to be a good control anyways, right? Because we run the BAS submission without closing the period now that the period is already closed anyway. So let me just restart the process and delete this one. Hit tax submission there, and hopefully this is the right one. Okay, let me just close this if I can, maybe not. Okay, prepare tax here again, continue. Okay, so that book is already closed anyways until 29th, right, of February. Okay, let's have a look if We will be lucky this time. All right, let's see these transactions there. So we've created this two transactions, right? So one prior to enabling that feature, and one is after disabling the feature, right? Okay, let's see if there's any progress with this one here. Okay, and create tax return. Continue. Start again from 1st of February until the 29th of February and create BAS there. And click on continue after choosing the second option to ignore any activity prior to the, okay, which is good. So we're having figures in here. Okay, so what I can do is that let me just export the detailed report here, right? Just for us to see what's being captured. Okay, all right. So we have these transactions basically for February. Okay, all right. So let's go back to the list of the um, this one here. So let's look at the list of purchase commit purchase order. All right. So we have this one created. 276 has been created prior to checking that checkbox, right? So the bus submission already has included that, okay? PO0276, which is essentially wrong because we only want to capture it in the purchase invoice. While this one here, 277, has been created after do not include that preference, right? So let's have a look here. For sure, it's not included here, right? Okay, which is great because this is what we were expecting anyways, that PO0277 should not be included in the bus submission, which actually worked, that preference, while PO276 has been created prior to enabling that feature. So that's why it's still included in here. All right, so that's the difference primarily when you check the do not capture GST. So I would suggest that this is enabled for commitment purchase orders or any transaction definitions just capturing commitments. This should be enabled for it to be for the transaction not to be included in the bus submission at all, only when it's posting to maybe accounts payable, right? If it's an accrual, then in this case, commit PO, this will not be included, but in commit purchase invoice, which is posting to accounts payable, that should only be the time that that would be included. All right. So hope that actually makes sense. So that's the difference basically if we have this preference enabled or disabled. So again, just to summarize, if it's going to be a commitment purchase order, I would suggest that this should be checked. Do not capture GST. So any tax implication, right? Because with a commitment PO, you would definitely would like to see the tax implication in there, right? Just for printing purposes, you have the making you will be making use of the subtotal in there for the GST parts, but just check this one here. Do not capture GST. So any tax implication while it's being shown in the printed document or in the transaction itself, that transaction will not be shown at all in the bus submission, right? If this is checked, do not capture GST. All right. Hope this quick demonstration helps. Thank you.